Now to a brush with nature you really have to see to believe. Randy Thornton and his wife were with a group of divers in the Dominican Republic last week when they came close to a family of whales. Too close, it turns out. You have to see this here. Reporter Susan Wood from our Salt Lake City affiliate KTVX has the exclusive video and the dramatic details.
For 2 months each year, divers in the waters off the Dominican Republic enter an area of ocean where Atlantic humpback whales give birth to their new calves. Divers swim within feet of the giant creatures without any problem. It was the last hour on the last day of this group's dive trip when they swam around a coral reef. A mother and her calf were sleeping. Bridget Server rolled her underwater camera as her diving partner swam closer to the pair. She tilts her camera downward to see the male, the escort whale, deep underwater. And as she re-established the shot of the mother and calf, she saw diver Randy Thornton getting closer.
They were basically touching the whale. The current was pushing them into the whale.
The calf got spooked and swam above its mother. Then the mother whale made a defensive move.
She flipped her tail twice, once to get herself level, and then she flipped through.
The whale's fluke hit one diver as it smacked the water, then thrust her downward with a powerful current.
It seemed to create kind of a tornado type feeling in the water where it just started moving people and pulling people down under the water.
Thornton was also hit as the two thrashed through the water to get away. That snapping sound was Randy's femur.
The mother whale, I think, flipped me with its tail and just snapped my femur and my leg, just like a straw. It's like getting hit by a freight train.
The other diver, Bridget's mother, was unconscious. Randy got over to the boat and was trying to hang on.
We tried to push him in once. The pain was so much. I mean, he was moaning. It was excruciating to hear.
They made a splint out of fins and a weight belt and got him onto the dinghy, then onto the ship. 9.5 hours later, they made it to land. The two are healing from some broken bones, but everyone is okay, with a greater respect for nature.
I would watch the mother respond and think, well, that's how I would have responded as well.
That was Susan Wood from our Salt Lake City station KTVX. And joining us now, Randy Thornton and his wife Gwen from the Health South Rehabilitation Hospital of Utah. Good morning to both of you. Thank you for sharing this story. And thank you for bringing props there, Gwen. Describe, using your little whale there, what exactly happened to the both of you at that moment? It seems so frightful.
Well, we were, as you mentioned, we were snorkeling, observing North Atlantic humpback whales, and the mother's calf was above the mother. They were both asleep. We were snorkeling close to them taking pictures, and the mother decided it was time to bring the calf to the surface to breathe, and they turned and surfaced directly underneath us, at which point we came into contact with the calf. The calf was spooked, which spooked the mother, and she went into defense mode and started smacking us with her tail, at which point all hell broke loose.
What was the emotion of that moment like? You're a dive master, Randy, I understand, and you've probably, I don't know how close you've been to whales in your life, but what was that? Was there a sense of panic?
It wasn't necessarily a sense of panic, as it was just concern, because we knew we were way too close and that something not good was going to happen. So consequently, we were trying to move back, but it all happened so quickly that we just couldn't get out of the way quick enough.
Describe the strength of that animal.
Well, it's kind of like being hit by a freight train. The tail hit my leg and it just instantly snapped. I mean, there was no question in my mind that the leg was broken. In fact, for a minute I thought maybe my leg was missing. I wasn't really sure.
Oh my goodness. And Gwen, what was going through your mind when all this was happening?
Well, I was a little unclear what was happening because I was right shoulder to shoulder with him, and then in a blink of an eye, I was maybe 20 feet away, and he was yelling, "Help me!" And so, you know, for just a second, you're just kind of like, what? Because I'm here, and then you blink, and I'm here. But there's a, you know, certain arm movement you make for the boat to come get you, and I knew he would never say help me if he didn't really need help, so I just started making the movement and screaming for the boat to get over there.
Well, almost as impressive as surviving this encounter is the fact then, Randy, that you spent 9.5 hours on a boat ride before he got back to land, and then 3.5-hour surgery in a primitive operating room where they had to use a hacksaw and a hand drill to put a rod into your leg. This is like a Civil War battlefield surgery. What was that like?
Well, it was pretty bizarre. The operating room was like a 10 by 10 cement room with fluorescent tubes on the ceiling, windows in the wall, but no glass in the windows, just louvers. And I had an epidural, so I was awake the entire 3.5 hours of the surgery, and they used a hacksaw to cut my bone and a hand drill to drill a hole for the rod. Fortunately, the surgery was performed fairly skillfully, but it was just done in conditions that were just beyond belief. The surgeons were taking cell phone calls using the same hand they were operating with, and the cleanliness was not happening.
Wow. Well, you are a tough gentleman. And finally, obviously, you respect the ocean, you respect these humpback whales, but has this made you rethink getting this close to these giant creatures? Will you dive again?
Absolutely. You know, this was one of the most incredible experiences of our lives, being in close proximity with these beautiful, highly intelligent animals. And it was just one of those weird freak accidents. I don't think it will ever happen to another person, and I'd get back in the water again in a heartbeat.
Okay, Randy, Gwen, speedy recovery to both of you. Thank you so much for sharing the tale with us.